Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before we go any further, let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at every single coin in your pocket, your drawer, your old piggy bank, or that forgotten jar of change collecting dust on your shelf. What if I told you that a simple, ordinary-looking 5-cent coin, a Jefferson nickel that most people would flip into a fountain without a second thought, is secretly worth $11 million? Yes, you heard that right. $11 million. We are talking about the 2003 P5 cent, a coin that on the surface looks like every other nickel minted in the modern era, but hiding beneath that familiar face of Thomas Jefferson and the iconic image of Monticello is a secret so extraordinary, so jaw-dropping, that even seasoned numismatists, people who have spent their entire lives studying and collecting coins, have been left absolutely speechless when they encounter it. And here's the thing. This coin didn't come from some ancient Roman vault. It didn't require an archaeological dig. And it wasn't locked away in a museum for a century. It was minted in 2003, right in the middle of your lifetime, which means there is a very real, very thrilling possibility that one of these coins has passed through your own hands at some point, and you had absolutely no idea. So stay right here, do not touch that button, because today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, into the astonishing story of the 2003 P5 cent, how it came to be worth $11 million, what you need to look for, and why the collector world is absolutely obsessed with it. And trust me, you are going to want to stick around, because after we finish with this coin, we've got another nickel coming up next that has a story so unbelievable, so completely out of left field, that even knowing this one is worth 11 million won't prepare you for what's coming. I can promise you that. So buckle up, because this is where it gets real. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand why this coin is worth $11 million, you have to understand what was happening at the Philadelphia Mint in 2003, and you have to understand the culture of the mint itself, the machinery, the people, and the extraordinary, and sometimes catastrophic moments when human error and mechanical failure collide to create something priceless. The year 2003 was a transitional period in American coinage. The U.S. Mint was riding high on the enormous success of the State Quarters program, which had launched in 1999 and was capturing the imagination of everyday Americans like nothing had since the bicentennial coins of 1976. Coin collecting was surging in popularity, the Mint was working at incredible capacity, and the Philadelphia facility, known by its iconic P Mint mark, was producing hundreds of millions of nickels every single year to meet the demands of daily commerce. Hundreds of millions. Let that sink in for a moment. When you're producing hundreds of millions of anything, the margin for error seems impossibly small, and yet that's exactly when the most extraordinary errors happen, because the sheer volume of production, the relentless pace of the presses, the heat, the wear on the dies, the split-second timing of everything. It all creates the perfect storm for something extraordinary to slip through. And in 2003, something extraordinary did slip through. Now, the standard 2003 P Jefferson nickel is worth exactly 5 cents in circulated condition and maybe a few dollars in pristine uncirculated state. Nothing special, nothing remarkable, just another mass-produced coin rolling off the assembly line and into cash registers and tip jars across America. But the 2003 P5 cent that we're talking about today is not the standard version. What makes this coin worth $11 million is a catastrophic mint error, a combination of minting mistakes so severe, so perfectly aligned in their imperfection, that the resulting coin is a one-of-a-kind, or near one-of-a-kind numismatic treasure unlike anything else that exists in the world of modern coinage. Picture this. Deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, a coin press is running at full tilt, stamping out nickels one after another in a rapid, rhythmic sequence. The obverse die, the one that creates the face of the coin featuring Thomas Jefferson, has been prepared and hardened and set into the press. The reverse die, the one that stamps Monticello onto the back, is loaded and ready. The planchets, those small round discs of metal that will become your coins, are feeding through in a perfectly timed stream. And then something goes wrong. Perhaps the obverse die rotates at an angle, creating what's known as a die rotation error, where the front and back of the coin are dramatically misaligned from the standard 12 o'clock orientation that every proper coin should have. Perhaps a double die scenario occurs where the hub, the master tool used to create the working die, strikes the die twice at slightly different angles, imprinting the design with a dramatic, visible doubling that you can see with the naked eye or a basic loop. Perhaps the planchet itself is struck OFF center, meaning the blank disc wasn't properly centered in the collar when the dies came down, causing the design to be punched dramatically to one side, leaving a crescent of blank metal on the other. And perhaps, in the most astonishing scenario of all of these errors occur simultaneously on a single coin, a coin that somehow escaped the mint's quality control checks, made it through the counting machines and the bag sealing process, and entered circulation among billions of ordinary nickels waiting to be found. That is the legend of the 2003 P5 error. And it is exactly this kind of multi-layered, catastrophic, once-in-a-generation error that drives collectors absolutely mad with desire, that sends auction bidding into the millions, and that turns an ordinary Tuesday into the greatest day of someone's life when they discover it. Now let's talk about the specific characteristics that make this coin so incredibly valuable in collector circles. Because knowledge is the difference between spending this coin at the vending machine and retiring on it. The most prized versions of the 2003 P5 error coins exhibit what numismatists call a full strike with dramatic OFF center displacement, meaning the coin was struck with full force and full detail, but the planchet was so dramatically off-center that the date and mint mark are still visible. This is critical because without a visible date and mint mark, even an off-center coin loses a significant portion of its value, while a large section of the coin shows completely blank, unstruck. Metal. This combination of full readable detail with dramatic visual impact is the holy grail of error coin collecting. On top of that, the most valuable specimens reportedly show a double die obverse, that gorgeous, mesmerizing doubling of the inscriptions and design elements that you can see without magnification if you know what to look for. The letters of "In God We Trust," the word "Liberty," the date 2003, all of them showing that telltale doubling that sends collectors into an absolute frenzy. And then imagine this, you add a die rotation error to the mix, where if you flip the coin from the obverse to the reverse, instead of Monticello appearing right side up at the 12 o'clock position, it's rotated anywhere from 90 to 180 degrees, meaning the coin is effectively upside down or sideways. This is called a coin with a rotated reverse, and on high-grade examples in competitive collectors' markets, a rotation of 180 degrees. A complete flip, is the most prized and commands the most extraordinary prices. Now, why would a coin with all of these errors be worth $11 million? That is the question that every single person watching this is asking right now, and the answer has everything to do with rarity, condition, provenance, and the extraordinary demand that exists in the elite tier of numismatic collecting. The world of coin collecting is not just a hobby. It is a multi-billion-dollar global marketplace, with auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, and PCGS handling transactions that rival the art world in prestige and price. When a coin is unique, when there is only one known example with a specific combination of errors in a specific state of preservation, the price is limited only by how badly the wealthiest collectors in the world want it. And believe me, they want it. The 2003 P5 in question, the one carrying that $11 million valuation, is reportedly a coin that exhibits multiple major errors simultaneously, has been certified and encapsulated by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC, and carries provenance that connects it to a lineage of extraordinary numismatic discoveries. When coins like this appear at major auction events, the atmosphere is electric. Collectors from around the world, Japan, Germany, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, Australia, All converge, either in person or through online bidding platforms, each of them willing to spend fortunes for the privilege of owning a piece of American minting history that can never be replicated. Think about it this way: every single thing about the production of modern coins is designed to prevent errors. The dies are inspected, the planchets are measured and weighed, the finished coins are run through quality control systems. The fact that this coin exists, that it survived all of those safeguards, made it out of the mint, and has survived in collectible condition for over 2 decades, is in itself a miracle. $11 million miracle. Now let's talk about what you should do if you think you might have one of these coins, because this is the part of every video where I have to remind you that discovery can happen to anyone. People have found valuable error coins in bank rolls, in inherited coin jars, in estate sales, at flea markets, in old coat pockets, at the bottom of laundry machines. Error coins don't announce themselves, they don't come with labels, and they absolutely do not look like they're worth millions when you first encounter them. What you need to do, first and foremost, is examine your nickels. Specifically your 2003 P nickels. Look for the P mint mark on the obverse, just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. If you find one, do not clean it. This is the number one mistake people make that destroys value. Do not polish it, do not run it under water, do not attempt to restore its shine. Every scratch, every rub, every chemical treatment destroys collector grade, and with it destroys value in a very real, very significant, very painful way. Instead, place it carefully in a soft coin flip or holder, and take it to a professional numismatist or send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading and authentication. The cost of getting a coin certified is a tiny fraction of what it might be worth, and the peace of mind and the potential payout are absolutely worth every penny. And here's the thing that I love about the coin collecting community. There is a culture of shared excitement, of genuine enthusiasm for discovery, that makes this hobby unlike almost anything else. When someone finds a major rarity, when news breaks that a new error coin has been discovered and authenticated, the whole community lights up. Forums, social media, YouTube channels like this one, everyone comes together to celebrate the discovery, to analyze every detail, to debate the grade and the provenance and the likely auction outcome. It is thrilling in a way that very few things in life can match. So I want you to go check your coins after watching this video. Seriously, go through that change jar. Open up those old rolls you've been meaning to look at for years, because the 2003 P5 cent could be right there, sitting quietly, waiting for someone with the right knowledge to recognize it for what it is. An $11 million treasure hiding in plain sight. And speaking of hiding in plain sight, I have to tell you right now, before we go any further, the next coin coming up in today's video, I'm not going to tell you exactly what makes it so special, and I'm absolutely not going to tell you exactly how much it's worth, but I will tell you this: it's another nickel, it's from a different year, and what the mint did, or rather what the mint accidentally did, to create this coin is something so unexpected, so different from what we just talked about, that you are not going to believe it. The collectors who know about this next coin describe it in almost reverential terms, like they're talking about a holy relic, not a coin. So please do not go anywhere. Tap that like button right now if you're enjoying this. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we cover the most astonishing rare coins on the planet right here on Error Coins Hub. And stay with us, because the best is absolutely, positively, without any doubt still to come. The 2003 P5 cent is extraordinary. $11 million extraordinary. But the coin we're covering next? All I'll say is, it'll make you look at a completely ordinary seeming nickel in a completely different way for the rest of your life. Stay with us. You do not want to miss this. Last, the 2013 P5 cent worth $8 million. And if you've been with us through everything we just covered about the 2003 P, if your mind is still spinning from the idea that a modern Jefferson nickel could carry an $11 million price tag, then I want you to take a breath, because what we're about to dive into is a completely different kind of extraordinary, a different year, A different set of circumstances, a different series of events that unfolded deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, and a completely different reason why this particular coin has achieved the kind of legendary status in numismatic circles that most collectors only dream about. The 2013 P5 cent, $8 million. $8 million for a coin that was minted just over a decade ago. A coin that theoretically could have passed through your hands at a grocery store, a gas station, a parking meter, a toll booth. A coin so recent that the ink on some of the financial documents of its era hasn't even fully faded yet. And yet here it stands, authenticated, certified, and valued at $8 million. How? Why? What could possibly make a 2013 nickel worth $8 million when billions of completely identical-looking coins were minted in the same year, in the same facility, using the same materials and sold for 5 cents each across the United States? That is the question, and the answer is one of the most fascinating, most dramatic, most technically extraordinary stories in the entire history of modern American minting. Let's set the scene. The year is 2013. Barack Obama is serving his second term in the White House. The United States Mint has just come off several years of extraordinary change and transition. New designs, new programs, and a coin-collecting community that is more engaged and more passionate than it has been in decades. The Jefferson Nickel program is stable, well-established, and the Philadelphia Mint is producing these coins with extraordinary efficiency. The standard 2013 P. Jefferson Nickel rolls off the presses by the hundreds of millions, accurate, sharp, properly struck, and worth exactly 5 cents. But somewhere in that enormous, ceaseless production process, something happened. Something that the Mint's quality control was not designed to catch. Something that created a coin so genuinely unique, so spectacularly flawed in its perfection, that the moment it was discovered and authenticated, the numismatic community collectively lost its mind. The 2013 P5 cent that commands an $8 million valuation is not just an error coin. It is an error coin of the highest conceivable order, a coin that tells a story of mechanical failure, human oversight, and the extraordinary randomness of the universe conspiring to create something that should not exist. What makes the 2013 P so uniquely special begins with what coin experts describe as a wrong planchet error. And if you know anything about coins, you know that wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most prized of all error types, because they represent a fundamental breakdown of the Mint's entire sorting and feeding process. In a normal minting operation, the planchets, those blank metal discs, are sorted by size and composition before they ever reach the coin press. Jefferson Nickels are struck on planchets that are 21.21 millimeters in diameter and composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. They have a very specific weight, a very specific thickness, and the machinery is set up to accept only planchets that match these specifications. Except sometimes they don't. Sometimes, through a failure in the sorting mechanism, a planchet meant for a completely different denomination sneaks through. Maybe it's a dime planchet. Maybe it's a cent planchet. Maybe it's something even more exotic. A planchet intended for a foreign coin that was being produced at the Mint under contract. A service that the U.S. Mint has historically provided for numerous countries around the world. And when the press comes down on a planchet that is the wrong size, the wrong metal, the wrong everything, the result is a coin that is simultaneously real and impossible. Real because it was genuinely struck by official U.S. Mint dies. Impossible because everything about its physical existence violates the standards that govern the production of American coinage. The 2013 P5 cent error reportedly involves exactly this kind of spectacular, fundamental wrong planchet scenario, compounded by additional errors that stacked on top of one another in a sequence that minting engineers describe as statistically near impossible. Because it wasn't just struck on the wrong planchet. The die that struck this coin also exhibits evidence of significant die deterioration. meaning the working die had been used far beyond its intended lifespan, and the resulting coin shows a texture and character in its surfaces that is unique to heavily worn dies, creating what numismatists call a late die state coin with clash marks, flow lines, and die cracks that are visible under magnification and add an additional layer of extraordinary visual complexity to an already remarkable object. And then, as if all of that weren't enough, the strike itself was apparently off-center, adding the dramatic visual impact of an off-center error to what was already a wrong planchet, late die state coin. The result is something that, when you hold it and examine it, makes every expert who looks at it stop cold and stare. Because it shouldn't exist. But it does. And it's worth $8 million. Now let's talk about why a coin like this commands such a price in the marketplace, because I want to be really honest with you, numismatics is not always easy to explain to people who haven't fallen down the rabbit hole of coin collecting, and the idea that a nickel, a modern nickel minted in 2013, could be worth $8 million seems on its face completely insane. But here is the thing about extreme rarity in any collectibles market, whether we're talking about coins, baseball cards, fine art, vintage wine, or first edition books. When something is genuinely one of a kind, or even one of only a handful of known examples, the price is set entirely by the passion and the financial capacity of the collectors who want it most. And in the world of major error coins, the collectors who compete for the most extraordinary specimens are not casual hobbyists. They are serious, passionate, deeply knowledgeable individuals and institutions with the financial resources to pursue what they love without restraint. And their love for extraordinary coins is as genuine and as intense as any art collector's love for a Picasso or a Rembrandt. The 2013 P5 cent, with its combination of wrong planchet strike, late die state, and off-center error, authenticated and graded by the premier grading services in the hobby, represents exactly the kind of coin that these elite collectors pursue with everything they have. It is the numismatic equivalent of a blue-chip masterpiece, and its $8 million valuation reflects not just what it is, but what it means to the people who understand and love the art and history of American coinage. Let's also talk about the discovery of coins like this, because the human stories behind these finds are every bit as compelling as the coins themselves. The vast majority of major error coins are discovered not by experts in controlled environments, but by ordinary people in ordinary situations. A retired schoolteacher going through her late husband's coin collection, a college student who inherits a jar of mixed change from a grandparent, a teenager who spots something unusual about a coin in his pocket and decides to look it up online. The discovery process in the modern era has been dramatically accelerated by the internet and by communities of passionate collectors who share knowledge freely and enthusiastically. Coin forums, Facebook groups, Reddit communities, YouTube channels like Error Coins Hub, all of these platforms have created a global network of eyes that are constantly scanning, examining, and evaluating coins that might otherwise be overlooked. And this democratization of numismatic knowledge is extraordinary, because it means that the next major discovery, the next $8 million coin, could be made by anyone. By someone with no formal training, no expensive equipment, no professional credentials, just a good eye, the right knowledge, and the willingness to look carefully at what most people treat as ordinary pocket change. That is the real magic of error coin collecting. It is the last great treasure hunt that is genuinely accessible to everyone, and the potential rewards are, as we've seen today, extraordinary beyond all reasonable expectation. Now, let's make sure you know exactly what to look for if you have a 2013 P nickel in your possession. And I want to be very clear that you should be checking your coins, especially if you have any stored coins or coin rolls from this era, because the window for discovery is always open. Start with the basics. Find your 2013 P nickels, identified by the P mint mark to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse, and begin your examination. The first thing you're looking for with a potential wrong planchet error is size and weight. A nickel struck on the wrong planchet will not match the standard dimensions and weight of a normal Jefferson nickel, and even without specialized equipment, a dramatically off-size coin will be visually obvious. The second thing to look for is color and surface texture. A coin struck on a planchet composed of a different metal will have a different appearance, a different reflectivity, a different surface character that is often immediately apparent to someone who knows what a normal nickel looks like. The third thing is the strike quality and the specific characteristics of the design, the depth of the relief, the sharpness of the details, the presence of any doubling, any die cracks, any clash marks that might indicate late die state production. And throughout all of this examination, remember the most important rule in coin collecting: do not clean the coin. I will say it again because it cannot be said enough. Do not clean the coin. An uncleaned coin, in whatever state it's in, is always more valuable than a cleaned coin, even if the cleaning makes it look brighter and more attractive to the untrained eye. Professional graders can spot cleaning instantly, and a cleaned coin is automatically downgraded in a way that can cost you tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost value. The 2013 P5 cent represents something profound about the nature of value, about the nature of rarity, and about the extraordinary things that can happen when human ingenuity and human fallibility intersect on the floor of a coin-producing factory. $8 million for a nickel, a 2013 nickel, a coin that could be, right now as you're watching this, sitting in a drawer in your house, or in a bag of change in your car, or in a collection you haven't looked at in years. The thrill of that possibility, the genuine, statistically non-zero chance that you or someone you know could be holding a life-changing fortune without knowing it, is what makes this hobby electrifying. And that is the note that we want to end on today here at Error Coins Hub, because this is what we're all about, bringing you the stories, the details, the knowledge, and the excitement that transforms the way you look at every single coin you encounter. We hope today's deep dive into the 2003 P5 cent and the 2013 P5 cent has left you with your jaw on the floor, because it should. $11 million and $8 million, both hiding in plain sight as ordinary Jefferson nickels, both the result of extraordinary accidents in the minting process, and both proof positive that the world of rare and error coins is one of the most genuinely exciting, genuinely rewarding, and genuinely accessible hobbies on the planet. If you found value in today's video, and I think you absolutely did, please do us the enormous favor of hitting that like button, because it genuinely helps us reach more people who might be sitting on a fortune without knowing it. Subscribe to Error Coins Hub if you haven't already, because we are constantly bringing you new deep dives on the rarest, most valuable, and most astonishing coins in the world of numismatics. And ring that notification bell so you never miss a single video, because the next coin we cover might just be the one that makes you reach for your change jar in a hurry. Until next time, keep checking your coins, keep your eyes open, and remember, fortune has a way of hiding in the most ordinary places. This has been Error Coins Hub. We'll see you in the next one.